Łódź is a city with a turbulent history and an invaluable contribution to Poland's economic development. But do we know what price nature has paid for this? The development of this city in the 19th century became an example of industrial success. The thriving factories in Łódź attracted people from all over the country looking for a better life. However, rapid economic development came at a price. The rivers that once gave life and powered the mills gradually turned into dead beds full of toxic sewage. Let's take a look at how, for more than 100 years, Łódź has dealt with pollution, often ignoring it. It is a story of challenges but also of human short-sightedness and its consequences, which we still feel today. The first effects of industrial pollution were already noticed in the second half of the 19th century. This situation did not only affect watercourses in the vicinity of factories, life also began to die out in the surrounding rivers. The inhabitants of Łęczyca, located in the neighboring Kalisz Governorate, drew their water directly from the Bzura River. It was there in the 1890s that the first complaints of serious illnesses as a result of the use of contaminated water appeared. The inhabitants of the areas on the Ner behind Konstantinov and the landowners of estates on the Dobrzinka also complained. Informed of this, the governor of Piotrków tried to persuade factory owners to use filters in their plants, but without the support of St. Petersburg, these initiatives failed. The Tsarist bureaucracy proved helpless in the face of the needs of the local community, even despite precedent-setting trials in the Russian Empire against the Zhirs and Pabianice factory owners who were directly accused of poisoning the water in the rivers. Until the outbreak of the First World War, nothing had changed in this regard. In Łódź, the groundwater level had also already dropped considerably, which meant that deeper and deeper wells had to be dug, something that only the wealthiest factory owners could afford. Backyard and street wells in the city used shallow aquifers. They were polluted with municipal waste and poisoned by industrial effluent discharged into rivers and gutters. Emerging recommendations to boil such water, even several times, did not eliminate the risk. The chemical agents present in the water remained untouched, posing a serious threat to the health and lives of the population. The regaining of independence in 1918 brought new opportunities but also new challenges. During the Second Polish Republic, ambitious plans for green corridors along the rivers of Łódź were made. There was also a proposal to completely prohibit the discharge of sewage and waste into the rivers. However, factory owners and their supporters opposed these solutions, arguing that the cost of building treatment plants and disposing of sewage would be too high and could destroy their industrial activities. The rivers of Łódź and the surrounding area became not only sewage but also a symbol of neglect. The city decided to hide the problem, literally underground. Some of the rivers were channeled, treating them more as factory drains than as part of the natural environment. Despite the river cleanliness committees set up in the late 1930s, Łódź continued to poison its rivers in the name of industrial development, and the committee's activities were limited to drawing up reports. After the Second World War, Łódź, together with the surrounding cities, was to be one of the showcases of the reborn economy in socialist Poland. The newly established universities began to educate specialists in various specialties, including hydrology and biology. The activities of large factories such as Anilana, Poltex, and Boruta in Zgierz were increasingly aggravating the ecological disaster. there were still no tools to prevent it. But from the early 1960s, systematic monitoring of the state of the environment began. The system of penalties for industrial plants was insufficient, and the lack of technology and foreign exchange resources prevented the construction of modern treatment plants. In the 1970s, the so-called Gierek decade, the Ner and the Bzura became dead rivers to towns of Podębice and Łęczyca, respectively. No traces of life could be found in them. These waters were so polluted that even their fumes could cause health problems. The particulate matter and sulfur dioxide emitted by outdated plants caused respiratory diseases, allergies, and other health problems in the inhabitants. Pollution maps indicated the huge scale of the problem both in the air and in the soil and groundwater, whose levels were falling dramatically. There were reports of the dangers of allotment gardens, where vegetables and fruit were contaminated with heavy metals and chemicals. But the communist authorities, being both polluter and controller, were unable to make effective changes. The deteriorating state of the environment in and around Łódź and human health continued to be sacrificed in the name of production and export. The statistics of infant mortality or life expectancy in Łódź resembled those of third world countries and only changed significantly when the Polish Mothers Memorial Hospital became operational and Łódź's industry itself began to decline. The decline of industrial activity in Łódź in the 1990s brought relief to the environment, as many rivers began to slowly recover and dust emissions decreased. The legacy of the industrial past is still evident in the soil on the sites of former chemical and textile plants. Toxic waste is still found and can seep into the groundwater. Some housing estates have been built on former factory sites, which may still carry potential health risks for their residents. The Łódź agglomeration can be reborn, though. Post-industrial areas are being transformed into green spaces, and traces of life can again be seen in the rivers. However, the city's history of pollution is a warning to us. Short-sightedness and a lack of appropriate actions can leave a mark for decades to come. Will we learn the lessons of the past? The answer to this question depends on all of us. Various generative and artificial intelligence applications were used in the making of the film. It was with their help that a framework for the script was created, archive photos were brought to life, background music was added, and my voice was generated. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and let us know by clicking the thumbs up. Thank you.